What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This here is Legitical Response. I cover political news, and folks, we had the debate last night, and I don't really want to discuss the debate too much. I do want to talk about it because I'm sure you guys are interested in my opinion on it, because yeah, the internet has gone crazy. The corporate press is over here saying, oh, Kamala Harris just smashed Donald Trump, and then you got the internet with all the based people in the world over here saying, no, Trump won, it's hands down Trump won. Well, no, no, I'm sorry. Trump didn't really win. Neither did Kamala Harris, though. It was kind of a garbage debate. I mean, Kamala Harris didn't really debate anything. She didn't have any convincing, in my opinion. She didn't convince a stone to be a rock, if you know what I mean. Donald Trump didn't really get too much into his policy, though. He didn't do a good job of stating what he's going to do. Now, my argument on this to defend Trump on that one is we already seen what Donald Trump is going to do. We've already seen both administrations. So, given that fact, if you had to put a gun to my head, I would lean Donald Trump simply because of circumstance. That's the only reason. The only reason whatsoever. Circumstance. Because the closing arguments in the debate is the only reason Donald Trump won. He knocked that right out of the park. Outright. Just knocked that right out of the park. Yes. Why hasn't she done all of the things she's been saying she's going to do? That's one of the best arguments for that, because it makes people think. Are you better off now? And they started off with that question. Surprise, surprise. Are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? Yes, that's a very good way to start. Thank you, ABC. Even though at times it was kind of like Donald Trump was debating Kamala Harris and the two ABC correspondents. It was like, what? And he throws out there, I can't believe he said that. They're talking about the dogs in Springfield. No, Trump. No, Trump. It's not dogs. It's ducks and geese. Yeah, it's not dogs. There's been reports of this, but ABC comes out and said, well, we spoke to the manager. Yeah, maybe he doesn't know about that, right? Maybe he hasn't heard those rumors. Maybe he hasn't seen that whatsoever. But the thing is, what blows my mind with these people, they're saying, oh, it's debunked. No, it's not. It's not debunked. It's not confirmed either. They're not telling you the truth. They just want to make Trump look bad. That's all that is. It's not confirmed nor denied, right? We've heard reports of cats being taken and eaten. Now, we know for a fact, through just a little bit of tiny research, you go look into it, cats are a delicacy in Haiti. So, yeah, it makes sense. It kind of leans toward, yes, this could be the truth. Even though Trump said dogs, yeah, there's not been any reports, really, of dogs, at least as far as I could find. But there's definitely reports of people's cats coming up missing, and rumors, once again, of Haitians taking cats and cooking them and eating them. And we know there's video evidence of the ducks and the geese, people killing ducks and stuff in the park. Yeah, that's outright just... yes, that's true for a fact. But as far as the debate, yeah, Kamala Harris did pretty good, in my opinion. Did really good. Surprise, surprise. I thought she was going to fail utterly because, like, that's another thing right quick. You know, not trying to go too long on this. This will be my last point, by the way. You know, like, what's up with Kamala Harris? Because I know you guys remember how she used to speak. She used to speak like she was talking to toddlers or to third graders or something, right? Oh, the wheels on the bus are very big, and the wheels on the bus, they go round and round, which makes the bus go forward, because going forward is a way we can move forward, because we have to think about moving forward to be able to go forward. Speeches like that, to what she showed last night, what she displayed last night was, hey, she's a normal politician, like Chink Uger said. But yes, if you want more establishment garbage, then vote for Kamala Harris. Go right ahead. But if you want some change, yeah, vote for Donald Trump. We already saw what Trump could do. We had the best economy ever. Ever. That's what Donald Trump can do and should do and hopefully will do. Hopefully he did enough convincing last night to change some people's minds, but I highly doubt it. You know, we're hyper-polarized right now, and I just don't think that there's many people out there who haven't made that decision already. But let's go ahead and get into the story right quick, because I went for kind of too long on that. Let's get into this. It kind of deals a little bit with the debate, but it goes into something totally different, so let's get into it. Harris's suggestion that Poland could be next if Ukraine loses the war resonates with Poles. Now, I wonder why that is. I want to hear these responses. I want to see the transcripts of this, because I'm not sure if I believe that. Because, yeah, unless it's some low IQ people that will just buy into the corporate press narrative and just roll with that. Just say, oh, yeah, Putin's going to invade NATO. No, I'm sorry. I'm not buying it, but let's see what they got to say here. And I'm sorry, this name, I'm not going to be able to pronounce it. So I'm going to just call her Wanda. Alright, so Wanda eagerly read reports on Wednesday morning about the U.S. presidential debate, and they convinced her that a second Trump presidency would be a grave threat to her home of Poland and the larger region. President Donald Trump twice refused to directly answer a question during the debate about whether he wanted U.S. ally Ukraine to win the war. This is not true. They're trying to obfuscate what he actually said. He said he wants people to stop dying. He wants the war to come to a stop. It's not about who wins and about who loses. Who cares about that? We care about people dying. The needless deaths that Putin started, right? Because this is all started by Putin, as a matter of fact, because he didn't have to invade Ukraine, but he did. Now, y'all know my opinions on this. I happen to not really care that much. They call it an illegal invasion, and I laugh at that. I scoff at that notion, because all invasions are legal. Let me know when an invasion of another country by a military is ever legal. Right? It might be justified, but I can't see that being legal. You're committing violence on somebody. Meanwhile, Vice President Kamala Harris praised U.S. and NATO support for Ukraine in its fight against Russia's invasion so far, and called for it to continue. So yes, she is calling for more war, y'all. Yes, this is what your vice president wants. She wants us in another endless war, and to take your hard-earned tax dollars that you're struggling to buy groceries, to buy gas, and buy all this stuff, and she wants to send that tax money to a corrupt nation to help them fend off somebody else. Like, why? Why do these people think that it's okay to get out there and advocate for more war? I don't understand that one, especially when we're not involved. It's not our war. And we're not defending democracy. I'm sorry. There's no amount of arguments that can convince me otherwise. It just can't happen. I've researched way too much into Ukraine, into this conflict, for anybody to convince me that we're over there and we're helping them to defend democracy. No, I'm sorry, that's BS. We're there for our own interests, and they don't care about us, because that's why they're sending our tax dollars over there to help this country out. And then getting up there and lying to everybody, saying it's for democracy, y'all. Yeah, we're defending sovereignty in the European Union, right? It's like, no, they're not part of NATO. They're not part of the EU. So why are we here? It makes no sense. Otherwise, Russian President Vladimir Putin would be sitting in Kyiv with his eyes on the rest of Europe, starting with Poland, she said. Now, that is a talking point that she has been fed. That is what the corporate press has told her to believe, because that's the only reason you could believe that. That, yes, definitely, then there's no amount of argument that can convince me otherwise. Once again, like I said, I've looked into this conflict way too much. That's an argument that many in Poland make themselves, and it resonated Wednesday in the nation of 38 million people whose geography makes it particularly sensitive to the debate. The NATO member is wedged between partners in the European Union in the west and, to the east, the Russian region of Kaliningrad, Russia ally Belarus, and Ukraine. As a result, the war is always present in Poland, whether from occasional accidental incursions into Polish airspace or the large number of refugees who have settled there. Fears that Putin could prevail in Ukraine and then turn his sights on areas of Central Europe once under Moscow's control, including the Baltic states of Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia, have been present since Russia first illegally annexed Crimea in 2014. They have grown more acute following the full-scale invasion of Ukraine on February 24, 2022, particularly at times when Russia has had the momentum on the battlefield. If Ukraine loses, Putin will take further steps, said Wanda, a 75-year-old resident of Warsaw, whose Ukrainian mother and Polish father met after World War II. She was particularly dismissive of Trump's claims in Tuesday night's debate that he could easily end the war. "I will get it settled before I even become president," Trump said. Now, yeah, I agree with her on that. Yeah, I'm not so sure Trump could do that. I think he wants to do that, and I think that he thinks he can do that, but I'm not so sure he could do that, given Volodymyr Zelensky. Yeah, Zelensky is in it to win it. He doesn't care. He is going insane. As a matter of fact, as you guys know, he has invaded Russia, and ever since they've done that, I really, really don't care about it at that point, because now they're just complicit combatants. Yes, that's what they are. And they're no longer defending their sovereignty. We're not, once again, like I said, we're not defending democracy over there. They went on the assault. Now, is it justified? Sure. He sure was justified, because why? Russia invaded his country, so why not him invade them? Go right ahead. But once again, that turns you from defense to offense. So now you're complicit in combat. Complicit combatancy. That's what he's doing. And I don't want to have any part in that. And this notion, by the way, that Putin would invade a NATO country. Come on, people. Seriously. I'm sorry to any of you guys out there. If you believe that Vladimir Putin will invade a NATO country, you have been drinking the wrong Kool-Aid. You have taken the corporate press Kool-Aid and drank way too much of it, because it makes no logical sense. Oh, they say, well, he's a madman. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. You can call him a dictator. You can call him a piece of garbage. And yeah, I probably would too. He's a dictator. And I don't think he's a good guy. He's an evil guy. Right? You don't invade another country and not be an evil guy, which brings my point back to Ukraine. You don't invade another country and not be an evil person. Right? Once again, justified on his part, somewhat. He could, for the sake of negotiating some sort of peace to get Russia out of your country. Yeah, that's probably gone out the window right now. So, yeah, I don't know if Trump could actually settle this before he becomes president. Now, after he becomes president and he completely stops all shipments of weapons to Ukraine, yeah, at one point, yeah, Ukraine is gonna capitulate to Russia. He's gonna have to. Like this is something else that blows my mind. They call it a full-scale invasion. No, I'm sorry. That's another lie. Russia has only used a tiny fraction of their entire army to go after Ukraine. They could have rolled into Kyiv a long time ago. They could have totally obliterated Ukraine if they wanted to by now. The only reason he hasn't is because he's not trying to look like the evil bad guy here. He's trying to make the world just, see him as being justified as going in, which that'll never happen. But that's the only reason he hasn't just slaughtered the entire population of Ukraine. That's the only reason. He could definitely do that if he wanted to. And don't be surprised if that happens really soon, considering what Ukraine just did. This war is getting out of hand. We're on the brink. We're teetering on the brink of World War III. And I'm not sure that we're going to be able to avoid it, folks. Just empty words, she scoffed, pulling a grocery cart as she did her morning shopping in Warsaw, a capital that, like cities in Ukraine today, was bombed to near destruction during World War II. Slawomir Debesky, a professor of strategy and international affairs at the College of European in Netherlands, also found it far-fetched for Trump to claim he could force Putin and Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky to the negotiating table before he even entered the White House. I think he could. I think he could put them to the table. I don't think he could bring it to a stop. He might be able to do that, but I'm not so sure he could. There's little reason to believe Putin would agree to such a meeting unless Ukraine were prepared to capitulate, which would be unlikely, Debsky said. In fact, Putin earlier this year insisted Ukraine must give up vast amounts of territory and avoid joining NATO simply as a condition to start negotiations. Yes, that is negotiations, by the way. Okay, so you agree to those terms, and then you go in and negotiate one of those away, capitulating the territory. How about you just don't join NATO, right? Like, if Ukraine would have been off the NATO table from the start, I'm not so sure Putin would have invaded, for crying out loud. I'm serious about that. I really don't believe that. Now, I understand the arguments, but I don't believe he would have invaded. Because, yeah, NATO has been pressing and pressing and pressing Russia ever since the Soviet Union fell. That is partly the reason he invaded Ukraine. Partly the reason, which, logically kind of doesn't make any sense either, because you can look at it like, okay, so Russia invades Ukraine, let's just say he's successful. Well, now you're going to have NATO right on your border because you just annexed, you just stole all this territory and put yourself on NATO's border. But, I could see the other side to this, like, no, now Ukraine is a buffer zone. That's his buffer zone. But look, I get it. I get both sides of this. I just don't agree with our involvement. Debsky contended that it was a clear mistake on Trump's part not to say outright that he wants Ukraine to win the war. Warmongering people right here. Why? Why is that? What is wrong with saying that you would like these people just to stop fighting? Like, nobody wins, everybody loses, and everybody goes home alive, like not dead. What is wrong with that? I just don't get this idea that everybody thinks that Ukraine that has to destroy Russia for some reason, because that's the only way you're going to get Russia out of Ukraine, is to take the fight to Russia. Do you really think he's going anywhere? He can maintain what he's doing right now indefinitely. Like for a very long time. So the idea that somehow Ukraine would win is so far-fetched that I don't even know where it landed. I have no idea where it landed, because to think that Ukraine's military would have a paper bag's chance in hell to beat back Russia is the craziest idea to me. That would be like Mexico stopping, halting, and repelling our invasion. Seriously. Do you really think that Mexico could stop us from invading if we wanted to? No, that's an absurd notion. Yeah, and I happen to agree. That's absurd. But he also argued that the Biden administration has made a mistake because it committed itself to help Ukraine as long as it takes, but refused to state that it would mean Ukraine's victory. Yeah, because he's not an idiot. He knows there's no way. Look at the numbers. That's all you got to do, folks. Look at the numbers. These people are lying to you. They don't care. They don't care at all. They don't care about death and destruction. These people's lives in Ukraine, they don't care one single bit. When Trump first won the presidency, there was strong enthusiasm for him in Poland from the government and public. The conservative authorities in power at the time shared many of his positions, particularly in their opposition to migration. Poland, one of the largest spenders of defense among NATO allies, also welcomed his push that other allies pay more on defense themselves. Today's government's Prime Minister Donald Tusk has made its critical views of Trump known. And while the brutal war in Ukraine, many Poles have soured on Trump, who has a history of admiring comments about Putin. That's a lie. Just because you say the guy's tough, the guy's strong or smart, that's not admiration. Those could be just statements of fact. You don't become a dictator by being weak and ineffective. Like, seriously. Like, what's wrong with these people? That's not admiration. Statements of fact. But they conflate those all the time because why? They're either stupid or they just want to lie to you. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov dismissed the back and forth in the debate, saying the name Putin is used, let's say, as one of the tools in the domestic political struggle of the United States. He's not lying. Debsky noted that Trump's praise for Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban, arguably Putin's closest ally in the European Union and NATO, is also unlikely to sit well with many Poles. So what? That's not admiration, by the way. Trump called Orban a tough person, smart. Once again, that's not admiration. You don't become the president of an entire country by being weak and ineffective. I'll say it again. Man, I wish the corporate press, some of these people would watch my video. God dang. Nowak, a 67-year-old resident of Warsaw, said he views Putin as a danger to the region and says that if Russia wins in Ukraine, Poland could one day face Russian troops on its border. No, I'm sorry. That makes no logical sense. I'm sorry. Like, guys, seriously, down in the comments, if you have a good argument as to why Russia would invade NATO and risk the utter destruction of the northern hemisphere, please let me know. Please give me some, because, like I said, I've done quite a bit of research into this subject, and there is no snowball's chance in hell that Putin will invade NATO. He knows what that would mean. He might be a madman, but madmen aren't necessarily stupid. You would have to be a complete bumbling idiot. And you don't become the president of Russia by being a bumbling idiot. Once again, I just don't see it being a tenable position for anybody to argue that, yeah, Putin's going to invade NATO. He knows, for crying out loud, what NATO forces can do, right? And it's not just NATO. If Putin were to just invade NATO for no apparent reason, right, with no Cassius belly, just go right in, yeah, that wouldn't be good at all on the world stage. Yeah, he would be shunned on the world stage. As a matter of fact, China would probably back out like, hey, man, I can't touch this. Not going to touch it with a 10-foot freaking pole. Because it would be insanity. Outright insanity. It would mean, once again, the destruction of the northern hemisphere if it becomes existential for Russia, which there's a 99.9% likelihood that it would, simply because we outclass Russia by a lot. By a whole lot. So, yes, it would eventually become existential, unless, by chance, that NATO members and the United States just decided to repel Russia out of Poland, of all places, and stop there. Do you really think they would stop? If Putin actually tried to invade a NATO country, do you think NATO would stop? Just kick them out and that's it? No, I don't think that would be the case either. They would see it as an existential threat because, oh, look what Putin did. Oh, we've got to take him down. He must come out of power. He can't remain in power any longer. He's a threat to the entire world. And they would go in, and that would be the casus belli, to go in and take Putin out of power and try to reconstruct Russia into some sort of Western democracy. It would be a mess. It would be an outright mess. Once again, Russia has nukes. Trump said it best last night. They have nukes, and people don't think about the nukes. Right? That's the only argument you can give. If Russia didn't have nukes, and we didn't have nukes, nobody had nukes, then, I might not be so disagreeable on this point. Yeah, Russia might actually invade a NATO country. But guess what, folks? We have a lot of nukes, and so does Russia. And they know what triggering Article 5 will do. It's plain and simple. Plain and simple. But I think I've rambled on for long enough on this one, y'all. I want y'all to let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comment section. Because I'm sure you guys have y'all's opinions, but y'all let me know if y'all have some sort of argument that against my argument, or some sort of logic that I happen to be overlooking here and not seeing the whole picture. But once again, I've looked into this, and I just don't see it. I just don't see it at all. These people, they've got to be low IQ people that just buy into the corporate press narrative and just listen to when somebody says, yes, Putin will invade NATO, and they're like, oh my God, it's fear mongering. And when you fear monger to regular citizens who don't know any better, yeah, that's not good, because now your own citizens are living in fear. It's crazy. Just crazy why they would want to do that. Why they would want to do that, I have no idea. But y'all let me know. That's all I got for this one. I want to thank everybody for watching. Y'all try to have a good day. Stay legitical. Peace.